For some reason, you're tired. Uh, Hi, Rose. I have some theories on why you're tired, Chris, and I am tired also. Chris bicycled today. I'm not sure the hours. I bicycled like a fool in the afternoon. It wasn't completely my fault. For those of you, well, anyway, let me start at the beginning. It is 6:01 p.m. It is July 17th. It is 2021. My name's Ken Goldberg. That's only important if you're looking for Ken Goldberg on Disorder and you weren't sure if I was him, Ken Goldberg. Point of order. I am. I am Ken Goldberg. Point of order. This is my podcast, Law and Disorder. Before I even had a chance to rail on about politics or anything or Buddhism, Chris jumped in with feeling tired. So I'm like beat. So this morning I got up and I normally I'm up at 4 something and I go on a bike ride with a friend of mine and he's changed it to tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll be getting up at 4:15 a.m. So I got up and I decided I would go to my 12-step meeting. Then I went to breakfast with some of the gang. And then I'm on my way out and I engaged in a guy in conversation who he and I didn't remember, but we met each other about 5 years early and talked about bicycling. This guy's a phenomenal biker. Black man in his 50s that bikes for like 100 miles, averaging 19 miles an hour. I average less than that on an e-bike for fewer miles. This guy's a beast, right? All right, so I talked to him maybe 20 minutes. Then I jump on my bike and I decide I'm going to go home and start my bike from home. And I got home and I had to make a legal call, business call, answer legal questions for a friend, client. So that took another 20 minutes. And then I talked to Ricky. That took a little bit. Anyways, by the time I got started, it was past. It was about 11:30, 12 noon, right? So that's late in Texas for bicycling because it's heating up. Off I go, determined to just take it easy, just get in a ride. That's all. Just want to get in the ride. It's like going to the gym. Only I don't like gyms. I just want to get out there and kind of enjoy myself. And so I packed snacks and water. So I made it. I made it not too bad because we had cloud cover here in Dallas today. For those of you that are not in Dallas, we had some fairly okay cloud cover this afternoon, which brought the heat down about 10 degrees from what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be in the 90s. I would guess it was in the 80s. So I got home. I'm beat. It's 36 miles. It was 6 miles to breakfast and back. And then I took off on another 30. And so, you know, I just cruised. I really took it easy. And yet I'm still tired. I mean, what the heck is up with that, right? Doesn't matter. We're all grown here. We're all adults. We can talk about this honestly. We can look each other in the eye. Here's the thing, and this ties into what Chris is saying and what I'm rambling about. Why does a random particle in the universe seek weight loss? If I am, as I said yesterday, a mere random particle of the universe, then why do I care what my weight is, right? I mean, I talked about the balance. Maybe I didn't talk about the balance. Maybe that's only going on in my head. Okay. Becky, by the way, congrats, Becky. Oh, by the way, before I congratulate Becky, anybody on YouTube, I'm talking to people on Facebook. I'm not talking to myself. I'm not making up people or anything like that. You're welcome to comment in the comment section of the YouTube podcast. But simultaneously, we're over here on Facebook also. Becky got in, nailed 20 for her first time. You may all applaud. I have no problem with that. Some things like your sobriety date, when you maxed your miles, when you get up and get out, when it was. So she's tired because the sun was out at the end of their 20 miles. But Chris, ever the go-getter, went back out and did another 11. So he's got over 200 for the week. And he's going to be raising money for childhood cancer. You can private message him if you want. You just have to go in Facebook, private message him, and ask him more about this fundraiser he's doing. Don't start right here because I'll be reading your conversation. But please feel free to reach out to him. Feel free to get involved and contribute to childhood cancer while he's raising money by bicycling. All right, back to why does a random particle in the universe seek to lose weight? I said it's kind of a balance. I have to accept in the way life is, right? We talked about the randomness, two people attracted to each other. Two people not only attracted to each other, had to be in the same location at some point to even meet each other. Perhaps they went to school together, like college, right? What were the odds that they would both land up at the same college? What would be the odds that they maybe see each other on campus or in a classroom, whatever it is? Then they like looking at each other. One of them makes the move and asks them to go out. The other person goes out. At first, they don't really like them. They think, I didn't have that good a time. But they something motivates them to try a second date, and they're like, that guy's pretty nice. I think I like him. Next thing you know, they're dating. Next thing you know, they've had sex. Next thing you know, we prodigies, right? Progeny, not prodigy, progeny. So all pretty random, which I said should help everybody to eliminate arrogance, because you ain't all that in a box of Cracker Jacks. None of us are. I'm calling you because almost anybody who's alive suffers at some point from arrogance, or you may suffer from insecurities and low self-esteem, but arrogance is not exclusive to these things. I mean, you can have them all. So, hi, Lisa. So if you're a human being, you may suffer from what the Buddha called defilements. These are just negative attitudes like greed, impatience, arrogance. Okay, so why, if I'm so random, I'm merely random, and I'm just an operation of nature and nurture, then what difference does it make what my weight is, right? Why don't I cut back on bicycling? Why don't I eat more fatty foods? Well, I eat plenty. I watch what I eat. What's the deal? Well, now that I'm here, this random particle, I do have a brain. I can, so because I'm a thinking person, I think to myself, well, good health is an absolute benefit to quality of life. Quality of life. So I aspire to, as long as I'm here, to be healthy, because as I've observed, lack of health, it's nothing to aspire to, and it's something to avoid if one can. And so some things you can't avoid. It seems whatever studies they've done of cancer, there's a lot of randomness, for instance, to cancer. Now, not smoking helps. Don't work in a carcinogenic environment helps. But there are so many cancers and so many reasons. So you can be afflicted with disease, but let's assume even in that case, nothing to do with healthy or unhealthy lifestyle. My sense is the healthier you are, if you're attacked by viruses or diseases, bacteria, that the healthier you are at the onset, the better chance you have of recovering, reducing the time period that you're going to need to recover, whether you're going to recover fully or have some ill effects that linger or become permanent. It just seems that this pursuit of good health has advantages that make even this random particle of the universe pursue it. And a big part of that for me is weight, because I am, if I didn't tell you this, let me be straight up, I'm an overeater, man. I mean, not maybe, not sometimes, not marginally. I'm an overeater. I don't bike. I'm fat. Nothing wrong with fat. I'm not accusing anybody who may be fat of being. I can't be fat. I can't be fat for a variety of reasons, because my lifestyle would deteriorate as a result of that. And I figure as long as I'm here, while I'm not having the grooviest life, I'm having so far, knock on wood, I'm having a healthy life. But why do I, as a random particle in the universe, recognize healthy versus unhealthy, and why do I care? It really came into play during the pandemic, didn't it? I mean, there were people that were like, they're like, I'm bulletproof. I'm not worried about a pandemic. I'm not worried about COVID. So it wasn't that they necessarily didn't believe in COVID. There's this, we'll cover the gamut, right? These are people that, yeah, so what? It's nothing but the flu, right? So there's that segment. I don't think the brain on those people operates as well as some people. The people that don't even believe there's COVID, well, their brain's not really even up to snuff to even be in this conversation. If you didn't think there was a COVID and as 500,000 people died, you were believing that it was all conspiracy and it was just created, it was just a lie created by CNN, MSNBC, and the Democrats, then you're over here on the stupid scale. You, as a random particle of the universe, will possibly expire prematurely because you weren't given enough brain cells to function in our present environment, which is, quite frankly, it's a hostile environment to the human mechanism. As I've talked about before, I mean, there's so many toxic things in our environment that can attack us. And we're not armadillos. We're not covered in armor. We're covered in flesh. The flesh cuts easily. That we bleed readily. We can bleed quite quickly. The wrong thing gets cut, you can be dead within minutes. So there's a randomness there too. I mean, I pick up the newspaper every day, and it's so clear to me how random, for instance, so much crime is. But the random event in my lifetime was not directed at me, but it was so random that I decided, and this must have been 40, maybe 50 years ago. I believe it was Southern Illinois University campus. And if I recall correctly, young man was walking to class. Okay, he's on the campus. He's going to school. He's an undergrad, and a crane fell on him. A crane toppled over and fell on a student. Of course, it killed him. I'm like, there can't be possibly anything more random. Possibly as random, but I don't see how it can be more random than a crane, like a building crane, falling over and landing on a student on his way to class. That so impressed me about randomness that I pretty much used that as part of the cornerstone of my life and how I direct my activities, and always with the awareness there could be a crane waiting to fall on my head. And there's every one of us could find a million examples. And if you didn't, you could pick up the newspaper today, or get on Yahoo, get on Google, and look at random events. And you're like, yeah, incredible. So there's this randomness, and then there's people who have who survive by luck. Yes. As I believe it was Chris who said yesterday, and a couple of days before that, dumb luck trumps skill or something to that effect. Now that's talking about achievement, but dumb luck also plays into survival. And so, I mean, when I was younger and I was hiking, sometimes we would get to a kind of a outcropping of rocks. And Carrie and I would be hiking. I'd say, oh, Carrie, get my picture. And I'd go out on this outcropping and I'd make it look like I was clinging to the cliff. But there was something beneath my feet. I'm not good enough to have just hung on while he takes a picture. I'm not, I was stronger, wasn't it? But how many times over the years now, since then, do I pick up a paper or look on the internet and somebody who was doing exactly what I was doing, trying to pose for a cute photograph in the national park, like I was, Yosemite, Grand Canyon, falls to their death, loses their footing and falls to their death. I don't do those photos anymore. So, my brain's more mature. I got a little bit more skill. I've had a lot of luck. I've been present for shootings and the bullets didn't hit me. I've been present for all kinds of fiascos, but I'm here. I'm not only here, I'm 68 years old and I don't even take vitamins. I ride a bike and watch TV. But I watch what I eat. I eat healthy foods, but I eat a bunch of healthy foods. I overeat. Now then, so I don't know where I fall on this continuum I was trying to explain to you. I have what I would call a moderate amount of intellect, which I have harnessed in order to stay alive and stay healthy. There are people who are, far smarter and far healthier. There's the people that have figured out how to run into their 80s. And by running, I mean literally running. There are people, I can't run. My hips hurt, my knees would hurt, my feet would hurt. That's why I like biking. But, from an aerobic capacity or from an aerobic exercise, running trumps bicycles, unless you're one of these, really hard pressing kind of guys, right? Not Kenneth Cooper. Cooper. Cooper wrote a book. I think it was Cooper wrote a book on fitness. It was about aerobics, where he designed aerobics and he assigned points based on what your heart rate is anticipated if you do these exercises. Swimming's a really good one, right? Running, bicycling, these very active ones. Tennis, not as much. Why? Well, you're not moving the whole time. So it's kind of based on prolonged movement and the how hard you work it out. So are you working out in your fat burning zone, in your sugar burning, not sugar burning, your aerobic zone, fat burning zone, aerobic zone, and anaerobic zone. And anaerobic is that's where you're burning sugar rather than fat, and it's useful, but it's not considered good for people that just want to do weight loss or maintain their weight. Rose damaged her left knee from running. I'm sorry to hear that. By the way, Chris, I was complaining to Chris yesterday. We were riding our road bikes. I didn't have a motor, and it was stressing my body in parts. I was particularly aware, and I knew that my gluteus was going to hurt. Probably. I tried to stretch it before my ride. But once we got to riding without the motor, I was having some stress. I could feel it. And then my left knee, just like Rose's, there's Velvet, right on time. My left knee was hurting the more pressure I was applying it. And I told Chris about it and, I kind of said, I think I should get back to my vehicle if I can and see if I have some ibuprofen, because if you start to have something irritated or inflamed when you're riding, sometimes merely taking an anti-inflammatory will make it go away, and it really won't be that complicated. So we got to our cars. Both of us are looking in our cars for medications. I've got a first aid kit in my car. I hadn't looked at it in a while. I opened it up. It had Band-Aids and some medications like sinus medications. The Band-Aids were all dry, almost dry rotted. The paper had fallen off, and the Band-Aid was exposed. So I got home and I threw all that out, and then I look at the pills, and all the pills in there, the decongestant, the antihistamine, had expired in 2008. Now, I'm not one for worrying about expiration dates, but I thought, you know what, 13 years over the expiration, go for it, throw it out, start a new kit. So I put together a new kit. It'll go in my vehicle. That was kind of a side note because Rose brought up her left knee and my left knee. So wait. So after we looked, we didn't have any ibuprofen. Got back on our bikes and we bicycled to lunch. And here's the thing. My left knee stopped hurting at some point for no apparent reason. And it's not bothered me since. I didn't have any more problem during the rest of the ride. I didn't have any more problem the rest of the day. I didn't have any problem today. So sometimes you're the bug and sometimes you're the windshield. Anyways, it's 6:22. So what I wanted to say is that with all the randomness that I have been talking about in the last two podcasts, and I believe fully that there's so much randomness that one should calculate it into their activities. By that I mean one should be aware that whatever plan you have is vulnerable. Every plan is vulnerable because by definition it's a plan that hasn't taken place yet, right? It's unfolding. And for in some cases, something random happens, like a pandemic. You just opened a restaurant, got a good concept, got a good location, you open it up. You've calculated labor costs, you've calculated food costs, your rent, you've done a really good, my God, anyways, your business plan, your business plan. You got a great business plan, and you open up, and then a month later, they tell you that all restaurants will only be able to do deliveries or pickup. Inside the restaurants are closed. For that business, or for those business owners, that had to appear on their business plan as a freaking random event. I look at business plans. I've worked with people developing business plans. Nobody ever put down possible pandemic. Like I was talking to somebody who's in the pizza business, and he can't get labor. He struggles to get labor, and then he had a bunch of people leave. He doesn't even know why. But here's the thing. I've talked to a number of business people who are complaining about the difficulty of finding employees because the government was giving out unemployment plus. And now several states have cut out the plus. They've just said, we're not going to do it. So they've cut back the 600, whatever it is. I believed that people who are getting unemployment plus would not abstain from joining the workforce based upon their money because they would see a value in working and making more money than they're making on unemployment, plus establishing themselves with somebody and being able to really cultivating in the long run. It turns out I'm wrong. My faith in the American public was ill-placed. It turns out from everything I'm hearing that, and from anecdotally from talking to people like my daughter, people decided if they were getting something, it was good enough. So I know people that didn't seek out jobs that would pay more than what they were getting because in the calculation, doing nothing and getting something, money, was a better deal than doing something and getting more. I didn't see that coming. Now I know from many places we've got truck drivers in short supply. So you have a shortage of goods moving, and the shortage of goods moving means that there's greater demand than supply, driving the price of food up, driving the price of gasoline up, driving all kinds of prices up. People having to pay more to their employees to get them to leave whatever they're doing, sitting at home, collecting unemployment, and get back in the workforce. So they're raising the incentive. That means raising the money, or maybe offering healthcare, more healthcare than they used to. Whatever it is, it's a cost of business. It goes up. So there are so many factors that can affect your ability to function in the world that you have absolutely zero control over. None, zero, zip, right? My higher power, this, like some people pray to God, okay? My higher power is a word. And here's the word. In Hebrew, you can't pronounce the word of God, right? Yahweh. But this word I can pronounce: acceptance and surrender. That's two words, but acceptance is the key word. That's my higher power. If I can be in a place of acceptance from minute to minute, I do not reel out of control. Now, acceptance doesn't mean approval, doesn't mean I like a lot of things, but if I get that what's happening right now is undeniable, it's happening. What's the point in resistance? Resistance is frequently futile. Sometimes, you might be in a car crash and the car's getting ready to burn. That's happening in the moment, and it might behoove you to plan to get the freak out of that car as quickly as you can before you burn alive, okay? But in the main, my thing is acceptance. And this has altered my reality. It's altered so many things about my life. That it is, as for some people, what acceptance has done for me is what other people call turning it over to God. They got the same result from turning it over to God, but that didn't work for me. So I just got into this place, and Buddhism was very helpful, and 12 steps was very helpful, being in a place of acceptance all the time. All the time. It doesn't stop me from planning, doesn't stop me from judging, doesn't stop me from getting attitudes. All these things still happen, but they don't happen to my detriment. Okay? Before, my inability to accept negative events, my ability to pursue the moment as a result of its pleasantness, which resulted in planning the further pursuit, these things worked to my detriment. So today, I look around, I'm like, okay, in this moment, this. Now, if I don't want this moment to continue, I might start to say, well, maybe I should get up and leave the room. Maybe I should charge more rent. Maybe I should go have my car looked at because the light is on. Fill the tires. Maybe I should tune up my bicycle. Whatever it is, okay? But when I'm on the bike and I'm riding, I'm in the moment. When I find myself thinking and projecting about people, places, and things that I have no control over, I can spin out of control. And mentally, I'm wrapped around some axle somewhere. And then I'm like, whoa, you know what's going on right now? You're projecting. You need to come back to the moment. You need to smell the flowers. You need to look at the trees. You need to watch for traffic. You need to pedal. You need to look at your cadence. I have this beautiful, hold on. I have this lovely computer. I'm going to show you. Most of you probably don't have one, suckers. So why am I not? Well, this sucks. It's too dark to read. So why can't I? No, there's too much glare. Right? Okay. So I wanted to show you what it. So no, it's not going to work. Why won't it work? What am I doing wrong? Well, anyways, Let me read it to you. Okay. So a ride, it has cadence, which is very important for me. Um, Chris has a similar computer to mine because I encouraged him to get one. I can measure certain metrics when I'm riding my bicycle, which I find helpful, and it keeps me motivated. Okay, and it's a lot of it's in the moment. Cadence. How fast am I pedaling? I happen to know there are efficient ways to pedal a bicycle. If you want to go long distance, the experts will tell you it's best to keep a relatively high cadence. You don't want to have it in a high gear if you're going to go somewhere. Um, then my speed. I have a speedometer. I have how far I've gone. All these things motivate me. I have a heart monitor that I wear around my chest, and I can read my heart rate there. So I can try to keep it in a zone, which is healthy for me. Okay. Then I have a thing that tells me what direction I'm heading, a compass reading, and I have the time of day. I can change those around. I can add a couple of things. I can take some things out, but that's the bulk of it. Cadence. How fast am I spinning my pedals? Um, or crank arms, as they also refer to them. How fast am I going? How far have I gone? And what is my heart rate? Uh, all helpful information that keeps me in the moment, uh, except one thing. When I'm looking down to see my heart rate or distance, and I hit something because I'm looking down instead of up, I've had to train myself to look down only when I could tell there's nothing in front of me, and to only do it for short periods of time because you can get caught up. I have a map on here. I can change the page. It will give me a map. It will immediately detect where I'm at, and I can see the streets around me, so I can stay off of dead ends. I can get around certain obstacles. I see a work zone coming. I can look and see, oh, if I turn here, I won't be turned back the opposite direction. Eventually I'll swing around. So I'll be looking at that and look up and go, how long was I looking at this? Anyway, it can be a problem. So I've had to learn to use my bike computer judiciously. Also part of being smart enough not to sabotage your own existence on this planet Earth. I was looking down at my computer about 9 years ago. I was bicycling with two other people, and I was on a street that traffic went both ways, but there were no cars coming or going. We were the only three on that street at that moment. While I was looking down at my computer, somebody put a median in. So we turned on the street. There was no median. The lanes going north, the lanes going south abutted each other. But later on, somebody in their infinite wisdom had designed a median. For Chris and those of you that know, this is just south of Northwest Highway on West Lawther, right? And I never saw the curve coming. I flew off my bike, and I got cut up, I got hurt. And I thought, well, that was stupid. That was avoidable. If I'd have been looking at the street, I wouldn't have hit that. How random, if it's random at all, you may think some of this is God's work. How random is the 68 wildfires that are going on around the country right now? Most of which started with a lightning strike or something of that nature. Is a lightning strike not one of the most random things you can imagine? I mean, clouds. I don't know what causes static electricity. Something banging up against these others. I don't know what causes lightning, but I know it is. It's pretty freaking random, man. Because you'll see people like on a golf course, right? And all of a sudden there's a freak storm and one person gets zapped and everybody else around them is like, oh my God, I almost got zapped. Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, right? So there's so much randomness, but if you calculate that in, intelligently, you can actually be the beneficiary in a sense of randomness. By if you've calculated it in, it means it works less to your detriment when something random happens that you weren't anticipating. And again, I make it sound like all events carry some measure of negativity. I think they do, right? Lightning is a negative charge. Anyways, it can be positive. It can be a very positive event. I know women who have had difficulty having a child. They've gotten pregnant, and for no apparent reason, they are not able to carry to term. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but they lose their child, a miscarriage, right? I know other people that weren't even wanting a kid and got pregnant and landed up having a kid. I mean, whether a woman's body is capable of carrying to term is a combination of things, but one of those things seems to be randomness of this body. Okay, men, do you have hair or don't you have hair? Is that not random? Well, people say, well, it's genes. It's your mother's genes. Well, most of our mothers had hair, so how am I supposed to know if I'm going to have hair or not when I get older by looking at my mother, right? And I'm pretty sure if all the guys in the house are bald and dad's bald, I don't know what difference does it make what mother's genes are. Going to be tall or short? Genes? I've seen families where one kid's really tall and another one's pretty short. So same parents, right? Randomness. Whew. Red hair versus black hair. Brown eyes versus blue eyes. I don't know, man. Science explains some of it, that there are, they'll explain it in this, chromosomes met each other, molecules, hung out together and something happened. But, then they'll tell you that there's a lot of randomness involved in which chromosomes hook up, go out on a date, which molecules swirl around in the same pool. Just saying. So why am my randomness in the universe, this random particle, why does my randomness include riding a bicycle 5 days a week? My brother has the same mother and father as I do, and he pretty much lives in isolation in California, and he doesn't get out and ride a bicycle. He doesn't get out much except to feed the animals around in his property. My brother is unlikely to ever get in an airplane again and travel. Unless I go visit my brother, I won't see him again. My brother's not going to fly to Dallas for a visit. He's not going to fly to Chicago to visit. He doesn't do that. And he's smarter than I am, but he's less stable in many regards than I am. So I have one sister that's pretty, I think sweet. Sweet is probably the word. She can be very stern, but she's got a real, loving streak. And my other sister, just say a word and she will take up the opposition. Say black, and my oldest sister will say no, white. And if you argue with her for a little while and then agree with her, she'll change her position. It's just, so the four of us were raised in the same house, but at different times, different influences. I went to the same school they did up to a point that I had to transfer, but my classmates weren't the same classmates they had. The color of my classmates was far different. The diversity that I grew up with was different than what they grew up with. And of course, I went and lived in the inner city, and shrewdly, my three siblings never lived in the inner city. All right, it's time to begin to wrap. I don't know if you gave a crap about what I said, and I don't know if it was cogent enough for you to care about what I just said. I'm trying in these podcasts, I really kind of dig around for, don't just run your lips. can you make a point? Can you shed some light on the way you function? Can I say something that sheds a light on the way you function, the way you make decisions, the way you operate? How much effort will you put into your good health or not? How many of you will continue to smoke cigarettes even when you found out years ago that smoking was good for you? I know that Kathy's given up cigarettes, or she had. I don't know. Lisa recently gave up cigarettes. Chris, I think he's given up cigarettes. I don't smoke. I gave up in 1983. It was part of this compulsion to survive. So it's 6:41. Chris is trying to urge me into closing up, but look at me resisting. No, I won't do meta. I want ice cream for breakfast. By the way, I'm eating this Halo ice cream. I thought I liked it, and something's wrong. I bought 3 pints of it when it was on sale. I'm not enjoying it. Nothing worse than ice cream or something you don't enjoy. It's like, wait a second. That's like eating barbecue ribs and they're not any good. You need to slather sauce on them. If you need to put sauce on ribs, don't eat them. If an apple pie needs vanilla ice cream to make it edible, don't do it. Don't waste calories on those kinds of items unless they're rewarding. Nothing worse than bad barbecue, bad pie, and whatever else I said. Because I reserve the right to always rely upon, I don't know what I just said, but I choose to stand by it. Now we'll do metta. And let me say this, because I often forget after metta to say things. I hope when this ends that you will embark on a very extraordinarily good weekend. The Tour de France, I think, ends tomorrow in Paris. I was at breakfast with some guys. They were talking about Wimbledon. Apparently Wimbledon's going on now. I didn't know. I don't watch tennis, right? And then somebody said, oh, if you'd have got up early and you could have watched the golf thing. And I'm like, does anybody want to talk about the Tour de France? No. Out of the 6 people at breakfast, nobody had the least bit of interest in the Tour de France. So one man's ceiling is another man's floor. One man's ceiling is another man's floor. Dum, 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 dum. Oh, and one other thing, music. So greatest hits. I don't know how long it is. It's just a compilation of music from the 60s, one of my favorite eras of music. Eminem was great at what he does. And Real Slim Shady was really one of his great rap songs. And then if you're not familiar with Tenacious D, I threw that in. Tenacious D is Jack Black and his brother Kyle. And they have always performed as a group called Tenacious D. They take songs and they are very melodic, but they always make it comical. So check those links out. After the show. Don't just go away mad. Just go away. No. Hands together before your hearts. Bow your heads. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Think to ourselves, may I be happy, healthy, and free from harm. May I be free from anger, anxiety, and fear. And may this practice bring me to a place of acceptance, comfort, and peace. May my mother and father and all my living family and friends be happy, healthy, free from all forms of harm and suffering. May they also find a path that brings them great peace and comfort. May those persons I harbor any ill will towards, whatever resentments may be festering within me, at this moment, I generate goodwill instead of ill will, and I project it towards them wishing that they be happy, healthy, free from all harm. May they too be living their lives in joy and comfort. For all those persons who are in the way of these wildfires throughout the western United States, for all the smoke jumpers and firefighters and volunteers and paid who are risking their lives in this tremendous heat, tremendous drought, a tremendous risk to themselves. May they be safe. May they be happy. May they be at peace. And to all living beings, wherever they may be, throughout the entire universe, may they also be happy, healthy, free from harm. May they live their lives in safety, comfort, and peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. Well, thank you, Rose, Kathy, Joan, and anybody else that was out there, Chris and Becky and Lisa and Rose and anybody else that was hiding in the bushes, or if you're going to show up at 9 o'clock tonight because you were busy having dinner and then you said, you know what, like my sister says, sometimes I watch, but rarely when you're actually doing it. A lot of times I check it out later on. So to my sister, hey there. You're welcome, Becky and Chris. All right. I'll see y'all on the far side Monday. Be there or be square. Peace out.